Hi everyone. I'm joined by Patri, who is a brand and web designer. She's an expat and digital nomad. Hi Patri, how are you today?
Hey Laura, thank you so much for having me.
Today we are going to talk about the digital nomad lifestyle. That is one of the most desired and dreamed lifestyle, according to my knowledge, among the young people, but also the older generation. And we are going to discuss the pros and cons and a very interesting point of view of Patre. So, what do you think about being a digital nomad, the lifestyle?
Listen, maybe it's just because I'm a little bit older, I'm not 25 anymore, but I think it's overrated. 100%.
Yeah, and why? Tell me. Because, what I hear also in many expats groups on Facebook, people trying to find the dream job where they could be a digital nomad and travel the world and just create this freedom in their lives.
Well, it's good to do it. I think if you have the opportunity to do it, just go for it. But I'm just warning you right now, you will get sick of it very fast. I always say that an accidental digital nomad just because since I left Venezuela, I plan on staying in the country that I'm moving to, and then something happens and I have to move away. And so sort of life has taken me and made me into a digital nomad, even against my will. and I've enjoyed it very much, and I really appreciate the opportunity the universe has given me of traveling and meeting new people and exploring new cultures, and it's been super fun. But the living outside of your comfort zone thing gets old very fast. You always have to be thinking about meeting new people or doing new things, and you can only extend your sort of brain that much. There's comes a point where you have to, or you need your craving for stability and you crave for your own bed. I mean, it's all fun and games until there comes a point where you wake up and you're like, I really wish I had my own pillow. And it's just the tiniest little things that get very annoying, and then there's a point where you're like, why don't I just choose a place and stay? I mean, traveling is super fun. Maybe I can just do it 2 or 3 times a year as a vacation without having
Hmm.
to work in the process. But yeah, I mean, there's it has its ups and downs for sure.
Okay, so you want to say, as I understand it, that you just don't have this feeling of being somewhere at home.
Exactly. It's like I know home is where the heart is, or that's where it's supposed to be,
Yeah.
and wherever you are is where home is. But there comes a point where, I mean, it's. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love meeting new people. I absolutely love going to new events and getting to know the city in a cultural setting or a party setting. Even that's always fun. But when the real stuff happens in your life and you realize your best friend is across the globe on the other side of the ocean and they cannot come in and hug you, that sucks. And
Yeah.
so, even though I've learned with time and well, during this whole process to open up faster with strangers. At the beginning, it's very weird to talk about your very personal things and your family stuff and your, I don't know, your concerns and your fears with random strangers. You usually talk about, I don't know, the weather, where's your next trip to, or any silly stuff like that. But then not only you crave that deeper connection, but unless you have that type of conversation, you're not going to really start building those long lasting relationships with people. And I don't mean partners, I mean like friends.
Because you
Because
are
that's
planning your
how,
next move?
well,
Or.
yeah, I mean, when you're traveling, I have a friend who's traveling, like she lives 1 month in each country, right? And her
Mhm.
plan is to complete the whole world. And we were talking about this the other day, where she was telling me it's great, but I miss having the friends that know my life story, you know? So
Yeah.
I can, when I'm feeling a little bit down, they will understand. Instead, I have to have these sort of shallow conversations with people at coffee shops because people get uncomfortable.
Like from my point of view, to travel or to change the country every month is quite like tool. Like not all digital nomads live or
Yeah,
choose this frequency of changing the countries. So
yeah,
it's also about, I guess, knowing yourself and trying to find the best concept for you.
yeah. But also think about the best friends that you have in your life. Usually it's people that you've met when you were maybe a teenager,
Yeah,
maybe you were a kid or in university. And so you've been talking to these people for like what, 10, 15 years? And if you think about that relationship, when do you think, oh, this person is my best friend? Like not when you were a kid because you are best friends with everyone, but like in university or high school, it takes a while for you to feel comfortable and warm up to people and tell them about your
yeah,
deepest things. And so building that type of relationships takes time or takes risk. And so in my case in particular, the shortest time that I've stayed in a country has been 1 year, and the longest has been 3 years, which you would think is long enough to make long lasting relationships. But then I thought these people were my new family. But then you move away and you don't talk as often. You just don't meet each other for beers on a weekend just to hang out. And then the bond is still there. They can still count on me. I know I can still count on them, but I cannot talk to them on daily basis. It doesn't make sense. They don't understand my current situation. I don't understand theirs because we're not that present anymore. So the route that I've taken to building those type of relationships in the new places has been risk, not time. So when I say risk, I mean I just try to open up as fast as I can, trusting that the other person is going to be respectful and mindful of what I'm sharing. And so we can build a deeper connection. And it's worked very well. I mean, I've found strangers are very supportive. You would think that strangers really they don't care about your life, but like you come up to a stranger and like it's the second time that you meet each other and they're like, "Well, why did you move here?" And then you're like, "Well, I broke up with my ex for 3 years. Then we were living together. My heart was broken. I was craving having a little bit of family close by, and this is the only city in the world where I have a little bit of family. So I decided to take the jump and move here. And they understand and they start sharing stories, similar stories, to connect with you. And suddenly, before you know it, you have this deeper relationship that still needs to grow, but it is not weather and sunshine anymore, you know?
yeah. Maybe this lifestyle is like more easier for people who are not that social, but I think everyone needs relationships, of course. So it's
Yes.
difficult to be alone all the time and not to have friends around.
Oh,
But
yeah.
these supportive strangers that you mentioned, I guess they are also in the same situation
Yeah.
as you are. So it's much more easier to connect with the other digital nomads. So this is also one of the ways where to socialize. That is probably the easier way, not to
Yeah.
try to connect with locals, but try to connect with the same group of people who are in
Well,
the same
depending on the
situation.
country. Here in Spain, yeah, it's a little bit more difficult to connect with locals
Mm,
in that sort of sense. They are a little bit like, why are you telling me this? This is very strange. This is not normal, not a normal conversation. And I get that. But in Argentina, they are so open If you just take one shot, they will be like, okay, bring it on. Let's have this conversation. Let's talk about, our childhood things and our hopes and dreams, and let's help each other. It's the weirdest thing, but it's so easy to make really, at least it was my experience, really deep connections. I don't know if it's the therapy thing. They have so many therapists and they're used to going to therapy, so I guess they're used to talking about deeper things and just sort of digging into that. But yeah, Argentina was definitely a little bit different. Just take a risk, I think.
Yeah,
What's the worst that can happen?
it seems the success depends also on the country you choose. So it's quite important in the case of expats to choose properly the country, to investigate about the expat community, about the locals, about how open-minded they are, and it seems that there are countries that are more embracing new people
Yeah, and
in their
there are
lives.
also countries that are more embracing to specific cultures. For example, when I was living in Poland, people, like Polish people, are super. They love studying Spanish and dancing salsa, which I was very surprised by. I was like, I was not expecting this at all.
Hmm.
So when someone from Latin America comes in and they know you're a native Spanish speaker, they're like, okay, bring it in. I want to know everything there is to know about Latin America. I want to take all the trips. Just tell me everything. So it's, if you have something in common,
Hmm.
of course, with anyone in any
This
part
is
of the
quite
world,
surprising also for me, since I'm from
right?
Slovakia. So I think we are quite similar, but I guess it's exotic for them. So exotic
Yeah, and
things are
they
interesting.
like they usually take vacation time during summertime here in Spain. So I guess it's like, oh, okay, so it's a little bit more an opportunity to practice Spanish, or I learned this new salsa move, and I'm like, I've never taken that much salsa lessons, but sure, let's let's give it a go.
Beyond these connections, what are other aspects of nomad lifestyle that you found quite challenging? What about the work-life balance? Because you work usually from home or from co-working spaces.
It can definitely get tricky. I was just thinking about that this morning as I was getting ready for our meeting because it looks, just my friend that I was telling you about, she travels every month to a new country. She just posted a couple of videos of her working on a poolside, right? And so she's in her bikini and she has her computer set up next to the pool. And that looks
I said
amazing
at the
for
beginning,
Instagram.
this is the dream lifestyle, right?
But it's it though. I
It
mean,
seems,
instead
I
of
think, I want to say from the outside, for
yeah,
most of people, this is a
yeah,
dream, you know?
yeah, it looks perfect. But then when you're there, you just really want to take your mind off things and you want to enjoy the water and you want to enjoy the sun and you want to have a mojito on a Wednesday at 11 a.m. Like, why not? You can't because you're working and you may be
Hmm.
having some meetings with your boss or whatever. So it's kind of last vacation I took to Argentina. Like, that's when you're traveling very often. It gets tricky because you cannot really take time off to explore and just chat with people around you and so on. Last time I was in Argentina to visit my friends, I planned on working. I was going to be there for 2 weeks, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to work like half time, 4 hours, and then I'm going to log off and just hang with my people. That did not happen. I worked for the first day and then I was like, you know what? Life's too short. I want to hug my people. I want to eat everything. I want to walk around. I want to enjoy the sun because it was winter here. I was like, no, I'm going to be present. So that's definitely a challenging thing. And also, if you're moving to a new place, please do yourself a favor and do not work from home. Just either go to a coffee shop, buy a subscription at a co-working space, I don't know, whatever you feel most comfortable with. But even if you're an introvert, try to have people around you. that's going to make a whole world of difference than just working
Hmm.
from home. It can get very depressing very fast. So
Yeah.
just be careful with that.
So, as I understand it, also the discipline is quite a challenging part because, as you said, sometimes when you are in a beautiful environment, you just don't feel like working. So
Yeah,
it requires strong self motivation to keep up with the discipline and all the challenges you have in your life. And it doesn't seem to be easy.
it's definitely not easy. I mean, especially if you have your own business and you make your own schedule like I do. It's like, and besides, I think I have undiagnosed ADHD because I'm like distracted all the time. So I'm always like, what's next to do instead of focusing on what I have to do right now. But if you're working remotely for a company and they have you on a specific schedule, that makes it a little bit easier because
Hmm.
they are going to be
Yeah.
vigilant that you are working during the times and the hours that you're supposed to be working. But yeah, you have to be very careful to manage your schedules, to make sure that you are accountable for your own time, that you wake up when you're supposed to wake up and you go to sleep when you're supposed to go to sleep, because it's
There
also
is a
very
lot of
easy to.
space for self development and self growth.
Yes, yes, it's definitely very, very useful to have tools like mindfulness, for example,
Yeah.
or journaling, because it makes you a little bit more aware of yourself and the decisions that you're making and how that's affecting your way of living, and if that's really what you want or not. Because it's as you said, it's very easy to get lost in the shiny lights of, oh, this is a new place, there's a new event,
Hmm.
there's a language exchange, whatever it is, and turns out your body is asking you to go to sleep because you're exhausted. And even if you've been in a place for a while, that happens because you really want to take in all the culture and eat everything. And maybe that's not good for you. So you have to really think about what it is that you want and find a balance that allows you to go for it.
Let's talk a little bit about romantic relationships.
Oh,
So
God.
statistics says that
Yeah.
most of the nomads are single.
I mean, if your partner is on the same
Hmm.
mindset that you are and you make a team, I think that actually makes it easier to live this lifestyle because you don't have to find your group of people that much. You already have your inner circle, you know? And so you can relax a little bit more when it comes to building relationships and so on. But it's not easy to find someone that is on the same page, that likes to go to the same places or likes to do the same things. So, yeah, most of us are single, and it's also very difficult to find someone that's open. Like as I said before, I always plan to stay, but I am open to relocate if I need to for whatever reason. And so sometimes it's not easy to find someone that's as open to just pack up and leave. I already
Hmm.
know I have that superpower. I can adapt. I've made it easy for myself after like almost 10 years. But for someone that has never done that, it can be quite challenging to make that decision to leave their family behind. And so, yeah, it's definitely a little bit more challenging to find someone that, your interests are not the same. It's not like, oh, I love to watch movies. Yeah, I love to watch movies too. Awesome. Is also having that value in sync, that if you need to pack up and leave, you're willing to do that with me.
Yeah. And it's definitely even more challenging when the couple decides to start a family.
I do have friends that have done it, and I have friends that I know someone that was telling me the other day that her friend actually, when they got married and they decided to have kids, they were like, we're going to sell everything. We're just going to buy a caravan and we're going to have kids on the road and they're just going to learn a new language in a new place every year. And that's going to be our life. And
Hmm.
it works for them. but it comes with their, their own challenges, and having kids, it's a big responsibility. You need to have, I don't know, a doctor nearby in case they are sick or something. And not every city where you go to, or not every place, because sometimes people like to travel to far remote places, have that kind of situation. So you have to just be prepared, and just think ahead a little bit. Like, what would happen if people call me pessimist because I do this all the time, but I feel like that gives me a little bit more of an advantage to sort of surviving when it comes to the big deals, because I always think, what's the worst that can happen? Okay, what if I get sick in this new place? Can I communicate in the language, or do they speak in English? Can I use Google
This is
Translate?
not pessimism. This is just being very
This is
practical.
anxiety.
No, it's like being practical and preparing, because you
Yeah.
have to know all the options you have, and how the system works. Like without that, it's just like, in my opinion, not being responsible.
But it's important to not let it freeze you, because it's very easy to realize, to get overwhelmed and be like, there's a lot of information that I don't know. When I moved to Poland,
Like
I
you
was
have to
like,
find them then, no? Like,
yeah, but if you wait until you have all of that information to move, you're never going to move. Never. So you just have to be confident that you will figure it out, and that you know maybe a couple of Facebook groups that you can just ask, hey, where can I find this? And these people are going to be helpful, and they're going to help you
yeah,
find the right answer. Then you can just pack up and go, and you'll make it work. When you're in the middle of it, you'll make it work. That's just the way it is. Being a digital nomad, or moving, or being open even to move, is, you cannot shop.
cannot shop.
No, I love
What do you mean by
shopping.
that?
I mean, I love clothes, and I
Uh-huh.
love shopping. And I, every time I go to a store and I see something that I really love, a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful dress, flowy dress for summertime, and I'm in love and I want to get it, I'm thinking in the back of my head, will this fit in my backpack or in my suitcase when I'm ready to leave?
Mm-mm.
If it doesn't, what do I have to give up to be able to bring this beautiful dress with me? And it's like, you get, when you get used to this lifestyle, you get a little bit too practical, and you sort of lose the fun things in life. You cannot collect, stupid little gifts that people give you. I had a birthday a couple of months ago, and my friends, like, literally, let me show you. This was one of my presents, a postcard from Valencia, and my friend, she wrote in the back of it, like, I just didn't want to get you anything else because I know you won't have space in your suitcase to bring it with you.
Are you already planning to change the country soon?
I'm always ready.
What do you
I'm not
think is
gonna.
behind this pursuit, this lifestyle, pursuit of happiness, perfect place for living, some emotion?
That's a very good question. You should be a therapist. In the beginning, for me, I was just running away from Venezuela. From basically the government, and the situation we were living in. And then when I got to Argentina, I just fell in love with Argentina like that. It's like love at first sight, when you meet someone and you just click, and you're like, I could live with this person for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
That was it with Argentina. I'm super deeply in love with that country. I cannot even begin to explain you. And so for me, I'm living in Spain, and I haven't clicked with it. I like Spain. I love it even, but I'm not in love with it. And I'm definitely not in love with Valencia. And please don't come after me. Everyone hates me every time I say I'm not in love with Valencia. It's not you, it's me. It's not about Valencia. Valencia is just fine. It has many great things. It's just, it doesn't click with me. And it's a matter of feeling, I guess. So As I mentioned, this is the only city in the world where I have a little bit of family. I have a couple of cousins here. Their kids are here who are teenagers. And so my plan is to stay in Valencia for at least 1 or 2 more years until these kids go to university and I'm not the cool aunt anymore and they don't care about me anymore. And then I can just move on to and try to find another city where I feel that click. It's not about the perfect city because Buenos Aires, for example, is definitely not perfect, but it is perfect in its own way. I I feel like life's too short to waste it in places that you don't feel at home, you know? And here I know it like deep inside me, this is not home for me. It's home for right now, but I'm gonna end up moving anyway. I am dying to find the place where I'm gonna stay for the rest of my life.
Hmm.
I really do not want to keep moving. I'm craving stability. I'm craving having my own space, the tiny little gifts of people coming to visit me, and having a lot of ingredients in my kitchen. I don't even buy a lot of ingredients just to make sure that I don't have a lot to pack when I have to move. But I know it's gonna take a while, just
What
based
did
on
you make?
experience.
What did you make to leave Argentina? If you felt that click and you fell in love with it.
Well, I also fell in love with this guy. That's why I left Argentina. I fell in love with this Argentinian guy. And when we were dating, he got offered a job in Poland. So
Mm.
he asked me, hey, I think I'm going to get this job. I'm really considering it. Argentina's not looking good in the future. So what do you think if we move in together and go to Poland together? And I was like, well, why not? Like, worst case scenario, I can always come back. It's fine. And so I left. And
Hmm.
I was kind of right because Argentina is not doing very good, unfortunately. But Argentina will always be my, the one that got away. I know I can always come back to it and it will be there for me. My friends will be there for me. But you'll also have to make these decisions being a little bit more practical. If the place that you love is not very safe and it's not very stable economically or politically, maybe that's not the best decision.
Yeah, of course.
It's like dating.
Do you think anyone can be a digital nomad?
Absolutely, 100%. I have so many people ask me, well, ask me not, saying I could never move to another country because I have my job and my job is very secure, and I could never, and there's nothing
My
I can do
family and my
online,
friends and all the places I know. I
which
know
is
many people
valid.
like that.
It's valid if you don't want to, I mean, if you are putting your friends and family over moving away, that makes absolute sense to me. It's priorities, just don't, that's fine. But if you're using them or using your job as an excuse to not face your fear of what will happen and not having a safety net out there, stop it. Move. People say there's nothing, they have zero skills that they can do online. That's a lie. There's so many things that you can do online. It's
Hmm.
insane. And there's so many marketplaces where you can find either gigs, you can freelance, you can have a normal job, but just remotely. You just have to go on Google and start typing away, asking questions. How do I do this? How do I do that? There's thousands of blogs of people that have done it. There's millions of websites with step-by-step descriptions, even for your specific nationality, whatever that is. I'm
Hmm.
sure there's at least 3 people that have done it and they can just show you how. And if not, you can just ask me. That's fine. I'll give you some ideas. But yeah, everyone can do it for sure. If that's what you want to do, just I mean, the problem is the fear, which is not easy to overcome. I know it's scary making that first. jump buying that first plane ticket whew, is very scary.
Yeah.
But once you're on the other side, you could never imagine your life having not taken that step, for sure.
So this is a great conclusion, I think. So everyone can be a digital nomad. And if you enjoyed the conversation, please share, like, and subscribe. And see you the next time. Thank you,
Thank
Patri.
you so much.
Bye.